today we're going to be playing some Rolling America. Get that on the screen. Rolling America is such a cute game, such a fun game. You're basically writing numbers on a map of the United States. There's a few different countries that game write, and Rolling America in the rolling line. And we're going to play Rolling America today. So here we go. Let me pull up the map, and then we can start talking about some rules. Sweet. So we got the Rolling America map. We got a bag of dice. Really stunning components in this game too. I think it just kind of pops off the table. It's really simple, minimalist, but just looks super cool. Okay, we got our previous winner announced on the stream panel as well, and he said he's from Wisconsin, so got him on the map. And so hopefully we can continue that from the winner each week, which will be pretty cool. So Rolling America, so how do you play? Okay, you are going to be writing numbers 1 through 6 from your dice on a state of the color of the die that is rolled. Okay, each round there will be 2 dice rolled. Okay, so you're going to be writing each of the numbers represented on this state of the appropriate color. Now, of course, I picked out a yellow, and we have yellow states, and I picked out a wild die. The wild die can be any color. Okay, so I need to put a 5 on one of these states, and I need to put a 2 on any color, any state. Now, there are some rules that we need to remember, okay? There are neighboring states is the biggest rule to remember. Now, anytime you place a number on a state that is neighboring another state with a number, it must be within 1 number away. Okay, so for example, let's say we have a 5 here on, oh man, let me pick a state where I can figure it out. Louisiana. Okay, I think that's Louisiana. That's Florida. I don't know. The map of the U.S. I think that's Florida. Okay, that's Florida. And Florida is next to, I suppose, Georgia. It's a little bit of an abstract map, but I like it. It's next to Georgia. And so Florida, let's say I put a 5. Now, if I want to write a number on Georgia, it has to be a 4, 5, or a 6, because that is 1 away. That would obey the neighboring states rule. If Georgia, if I roll a red 3, for example, and I have a 5 on Florida, I cannot do that. Okay, so that is like the biggest rule of the game, to obey this neighboring states. Now, there are some kind of special abilities that will allow you to go a little bit above and beyond that typical neighboring states rule. But let's get to really quick, what are we doing in this game? So in Rolling America, you are trying to fill in as many numbers on states as you can. If you ever cannot mark a number on a state, you have to mark an X. So X is always obey the neighboring states law rule, because it doesn't count as a number. Okay, so for example, let's say everything on the map was filled except Georgia, right? Georgia rolled a 4, and it maybe obeys some neighboring states rules, but Florida is like a 6, so I cannot write a 4 there. I must make an X in Georgia. Georgia was the only state left on the map, for example. So there will be times in the game where your map is going to fill up, and you must mark an X. Now, you can choose any one of the states in the color matching the die to mark your X, but you still need to do it. Now, you want to have, I believe it is the least number of X's at the end of the game. So that's important too, because you're going to want to kind of just, you're going to want to play and make sure you have some flexibility open, make sure you put as many numbers on states as you can, and you don't want to be throwing these X's around, willy-nilly. So if you can place the number, you probably want to place the number. Now, a few other just quick minor rules I want to go through, because I don't always teach this game, but I do play it a lot. Okay, so we're always going to pull out 2 dice each round. Good question. Can you wrap a 6 around to a 1? No, you cannot. You cannot wrap a 6 to a 1. So a 6 is a little bit more challenging of a number. A 1 is also a little bit more challenging of a number. Okay. So we're always going to be pulling out 2 dice, right? There are, how many dice in the bag are there? Let's check this out. Here's the bag. Okay, we got 2, 4, 6, 7. We have 7 dice in the bag, so we're going to always pull out 2 at a time until 6 dice have been pulled out. So that means 1 die each round is not going to be pulled out of the bag. So that's really important, right? We may literally never see a blue die over the entire course of the game. Now, this blue and purple looks awfully similar in the lighting, so I'm going to have to, whenever I see a purple, I'm going to try to put it up top. Whenever I see a blue, I'm going to try to put it on the bottom to try to just keep those colors a little different. Let me see if I can just change the light up tiny hair. Yeah, I think that actually helps a little bit. Get in the tray just a little bit. A little bit bright on me, but that's okay. I think that helps the light of the dice. Okay. So 2 dice each round until we get to 6. Then we put them back in the bag, and we're going to be playing 8 rounds. And so then we're going to mark that we've played round 1. We're going to go to round 2, starting from a full bag of dice. The neighboring state rule we talked about, you must mark all the dice that are pulled out. If for some situation you have all of your states filled, you ignore that color die. And that also applies to wild, okay? So for example, all the blue are filled, okay? So I have this blue die right here, and we pull a blue die out, and a wild is also pulled with it. I would ignore the blue, and I could also choose to use this wild as a blue and also ignore the wild die. I could, instead of ignoring it, I could use it as another color as well. So wild still works like wild, but you can use it to kind of ignore a filled region. Filling a region is actually quite powerful in the game. Great question about Hawaii and Alaska. Hawaii and Alaska, as we know, are not connected to the continental, United States. That means they don't have to obey the neighboring states' rules. They are completely on an island, right? We don't have to match a neighboring state's rule. And I think that's a really important question because you might have a junky number that doesn't fit in this area, and it's a great time to put it in Hawaii or Alaska. But again, 1 number per state. There are 3 more rules we need to talk about, okay? So again, we want to get the fewest number of X's. There will be times in the game where we want to have a kind of a power-up or, use one of our abilities. We have 3 different types of abilities in the game. One of them is color change. So we can use a color change, mark off that we've used it. We could change an orange die, let's say, to a yellow die. Okay, so it basically makes the die a wild die. You can choose whatever color you want, but you only get 3 of those per game. The next one is really useful. It's called the guard. The guard, when you write on your map, instead of writing just the number 6, let's say, you could write the number 6 and circle it, okay? Circling it is using the guard. That means it does not need to obey the neighboring state's rules, okay? So it's a little bit of extra flexibility because you don't have to obey the neighboring state's rules when you guard something. You're going to have to use this at some point, and it's nice to have, right? But you want to use it wisely. Okay, the dupe. The dupe is the most confusing part of Rolling America, but it's also got a nice little bit of functionality that it's going to add to your arsenal of abilities. Okay, the dupe, you can, instead of writing a blue 5 one time, you can use a dupe and write it 2 times. Now, why would you want to ever do that? It's not apparently, quickly apparent to me. But after I played this game a few times, I was like, well, the reason I think I want to write a dupe at some point is because that critical number comes up. I might have a 6 over here, and I might have, let's say, a 4 over here. How do I bridge that? That's 2 rolls that need to line up for me to be bridging from a 4 to a 6. If I rolled let's say a 5 on blue, that's a great time to use a dupe and just 5, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm feeling really good about that placement of the 2 5s. It has a little bit of bite to it though too, because it progresses you forward in how many numbers are on your map. I believe these are all the rules. let's see. Ending the game. Game ends after 8 rounds. At this point, we're tallying up all the X's that we've taken, plus all the open states at the end of the game are going to count as X's too. So we will mark an X on all the open states, all right? Player with the fewest number of X's wins the game. And I think it is time to just see if there's any other questions, and then let's rock and roll, and let's see if we can get this thing going. All right, let me see if I can take that turn all the way back to 1. Sweet. So this is going to be the round, okay? Good to go. Sweet. So I'm going to put some dice back in the bag. I know. Well, hey, we'll play it twice, okay? It's a really fast game, and don't worry about being terrible. I'm sure we'll all have some hilarious moments of, like, what happened there. Okay. Okay, so in the game, you generally, like, could pass the bag of dice to all the players at the table. But what's great about roll and writes is that they scale to infinity. So I will be the dice puller. I will always pull 2. I won't look at them, and then I will just drop them into the dice tray. Okay, so we have an orange 3 and a red 5. Very good. Orange 3. And you can make your own choices. You can also look at what I'm doing. Totally fine. Totally up to you. All right. Next 2 dice are going to be a green 1 and a yellow 2. I really like these dice too. Like let's just talk about that for a moment. They got the stars on them. They're super thematic. It's so great. Okay, green 1 and a yellow 2. So that's really cool because boom, we can put those right next to each other. So I really like the green 1 and yellow 2. And that's obeying the neighboring state law. So that's a great way for me to also exhibit the neighboring state rule right off the bat. Okay, 2 more dice. Let's pull a wild, huh? There it is. So purple is on top and wild is on the bottom. So I will try to also kind of pair these and move them to the side as we go along so you can see what was rolled on which round if you are catching up, for example. So I kept the purple up top. So we have a, yeah, I know, right? It is tough to see. Let me see if I can put it here. Yeah, it is tough. It's tough to see in the light. We're going to have to call that out. Purple on top of the dice tray. Blues will be on the bottom of the dice tray. When they're out together, you can see it. I'll show you here. But it's close. I think, I know. I'm having trouble myself too, so I think it's a lighting thing. Okay, so we have a purple 6, and we have a 3 of wild. Okay, so purple 6 is, yeah, that's something. And a 3 wild. Sure. Might as well get that neighboring states going. Okay, so all these dice, so that's round 1. All these dice are going to go back into the bag, and we're going to play another round. No X's yet. No, that's a good sign. It can happen though. I mean, you know, like if you start really getting into, you know, start off in the middle, I think that can be a rough start potentially. So we got double 5s. We have a blue 5, so I'll move that to the bottom of the dice tray. And we have a wild 5. So here's a great time to just get our blues going, maybe. Kind of like that. I'm going to do this. And it's interesting, too. So keep in mind, like, if you look closer at the game sheet, and one other thing, I did have this posted in Discord, but I also should post it in to the Twitch chat, just to make sure you had access to a sheet. There we go. Try to post that every time. Okay. Yeah, right. You know, it's so funny because like you learn geography as a, you know, growing up, and some people stay excellent at it. I don't. I lose it. I don't have the brain space for the geography. But what's interesting, though, I was going to say is if you look where some of these edges are, they just hang over a little bit and touch. So, for example, some of the states, I believe they really touch a lot of other states, and that might be part of the strategy we talk about later. Okay, two more dice coming up. I got some green tea tonight because it's cold up here. All right. So, 1 and a 1. Green one and a yellow one. That is excellent. Or is it? I don't love it. Okay. Okay. This might have been a detrimental play for me. I don't know. Okay. Green one and a yellow one. All right, next two are going to be a red 4 and a orange 3. Ooh, that's setting up pretty nice. Okay. And orange 3. Yeah, I haven't thought about using Alaska or Hawaii yet, but, at some point it's going to happen. All right, that's going to be round 2. I think they have like 3 or 4 other rolling brand, geography games. I think there's rolling Japan for sure, and maybe a Europe version. But it's a cool little concept. I like it a lot. All right, we got a wild 1 and a yellow 2. That's a huge roll for me. I don't know about you guys. Huge roll. A wild 1. I don't like that 1. I think I might actually go use Alaska or Hawaii on that one. Yeah, I'm going to do it. I don't like spending that wild on Hawaii or Alaska, but it wasn't feeling like the right time to drop another 1 on the board. All right, that rolled out perfectly. We have a purple on top like usual, and a blue in the bottom. Yeah, Rolling America. These rolling games, super small cases, super small boxes, right? Like this is my hand, right? So it's smaller than my hand. It's really packable. It's pretty lightweight, and it's just a lot of fun in one box. I'm all about it, Going on a trip to see the parents this weekend, and we will definitely be bringing this game. I don't think they've played it. We play a ton of quicks with the parents because I think they actually introduced it to me. But Rolling America, I get to introduce to them this weekend, which will be cool. All right, we got a 5 of purple and a blue of 2. 5 of purple is excellent for me. Blue of 2, though, is ugly, sort of. And on these practice games, like don't try to win the game necessarily, but experiment and just check out what's going on, right? So it's a lot of fun. Okay, so we got a purple on top. Hey, we got a raid going on. That's pretty exciting. We got a green 3 and an orange 6. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, you can definitely mess yourself up quick. Orange 6, for me, it is Hawaii time because I've kind of, pot committed to the 3s in the orange region, and I also have a 2 up here, so that it's just going to get really ugly. We have a green 3. Green 3, I can make that work. I can make that work. Okay. And keep in mind, I haven't used any of my abilities yet, but color changes, guards, and dupes can be really powerful when you need them. Okay, that's going to be round 3. Things are starting to fill up, and all of a sudden, it's going to start feeling a little bit worse and worse each round once we start having to make some of these X's. Welcome everyone from Heartboard Games. That's pretty awesome. Thank you guys for raiding over here. So we're playing a game called Rolling America tonight. The format is fun. It's called the Global Game Night. Anyone can play along. We have a game board that you see here shared on the Twitch. No, not pre-recorded. on the Twitch chat. Let me just link that again if people showed up late. Copy, paste. Boom. Okay. So yeah, so it is. It's pasted in there. Anyone can play along though live, which is really fun. So we're actually learning the game. We're asking questions as we go. We're actually playing through a practice game, and the way the global game night's going to work is a practice game happens, a little strategy, and then we talk about, and then we play for realsies at the end. So you see, Ianyo is the winner from last week, and we have a map where he is from. So it's pretty cool. All right. We got blue. Blue is always on the bottom, and we have a wild 5 as well. So, boom. I can play the blue, and I can play the 5. That's excellent. Blue 6 and wild 5. Keep it in over here. I like that roll a lot. That wild 5 is excellent. Okay. Let's toss it in. We got an orange 1 and a yellow 1. The coolest part about roll and write games is because it scales, because we're not really waiting for other people's turn. We're all playing simultaneously on the same turn. We could play with a billion people. This could literally scale to the entire Earth, provided the bandwidth let it, I suppose. But no, that's kind of the fun that we're trying to bring, and I just love roll and writes too. So I want to have more game nights where people just get excited about roll and writes. So I'm all about it. All right, the orange one is not great. I'm okay with it. I potentially have a saving spot in the top left, but not sure what your map looks like. If you put a 6 or a 1 in one of those spots, yeah, that could be tough. So 1 and a yellow 1. So the yellow one for me is not great. Like, this is playable right here. Okay, so here's actually a great time. I'm going to guard. I think I'm going to guard this one. Color change could have been okay too, but I'm going to guard it. So I use one of my guard abilities. That I'm going to place it in, oh, I don't even know what state that is. Kentucky? Maybe Kentucky. And let's see. Now I yeah, thank you for the confirmation. I don't have to obey the neighboring states rule. So usually we need to obey the neighboring states rule, which means that you must be equal, +1 or -1 from every state for each number that you place on a state. This one broke that rule, but it is guarded. Okay. So I get 3 guards per game, as denoted by the grid in the bottom left. All right, so both of those have been played. Let's play 2 more dice, and that'll be the end of round 4. Okay, we have a red 2 and a green 3 on the board. Those greens have been pretty low. The red 2 is new. We don't have a lot of low reds, but I'll take it. I like that a lot. I can't put a green 3 here because it would touch the 1. I can't put it here. I can technically still fit it there, but I think I'm going to have to start eating it pretty soon with some X's. Okay, so that's going to be the end of round 4. We're literally halfway through a game of Rolling America. So it flows pretty fast, and even on a teaching game, we're going to be on round 5 up here. And that's what it sounds like when we when we actually hit the round tracker. Just to clarify, you may only use a guard on a number as you are placing it on the board, not later on. Correct. That's a great clarification. Yeah, when you play, when you choose to use a guard, it must be on the turn that you are placing a number onto your map. Great question. All right. The same goes with a color change and a dupe. You need to write a guard. You need to use it on in turn. Like if I were to play this yellow 6 right now, I could color change it to an orange 6 if I wanted to. But that color change is happening right as I'm writing and using the die. Okay. And can choose to write an X even if you have guards available. You can, yeah, absolutely. If you must write an X, then you must write an X. You can choose to not write that X by using up your guard. So that is your choice. But you probably want to use your guards at some point during the game, you know, but it's totally up to you. All right. We have a new round, round 5, coming in hot. We have a green 5 and a yellow 6. This is now where it's going to get quite hairy, because none of those play for me. But you know what? We got color changes possible. So like a 6 and a 5 are good, but for me, purple region, blue region, red region seems pretty fine. So I think I'm going to color change a green to a purple 5 right here. We're going to go there. And I'm going to color change again a yellow 6 to a purple 6. All right, so I used 2 color changes on that turn. Craziness. All right, next 2 dice. We have a purple, always goes on top, so we got the purple, and then we have an orange 3. All right, so purple 1, orange 3. Purple will play. Orange will play. Excellent. How about that? Purple is going to get hairy, though, pretty soon. So basically, like, if I hose this one, that means I'm hosing those 2 as well. I think the purple one is maybe a good spot for me to use a guard. Like, if I can use a guard here, it's kind of strategic. I'm going to do that. So I'll mark my guard down. Don't forget about your dupes either. Dupes will sneak up on you. They're a little bit more flexible early in the game versus late. And if you can sneak them in mid game, like they can fill some nice holes. Dupe is like duplicating a dice result. So right now you could dupe the wild 6 and use 2 6s. That might be a really powerful thing to do. I've messed up. Oh, it's all good. That's why we're totally playing practice games. And if you have questions, like, you know, feel free to ask questions about the mistake or the mess up. You know, in the rules, what it says is at the end of the game, you actually pass your map to the player on the right. And if you've made a mistake, you just count it as an X to overwrite the mistake. So don't worry about it. We'll just count it as an X later, and we'll take everyone's word that they're obeying, the rules. Obey the rules. But it's always funny. I every single game have almost every game have made a mistake. It's so funny. You just be like, wait a second, I thought I had 12. Nope, I have 13 X's. Okay, here we go. A 6 of wild and a red of 3. Go ahead and place your numbers. The red of 3 is great for me. That plays really nicely. I think I'm gonna go here with it. And the wild 6. The only place I really have 6s going is up top. So I think I'm gonna just do that right away. Wild 6. Okay. Dice back in the bag. That is going to be round 6. So we are going to go ahead and rock and roll for round 6. Dice loose. All right. Right on. We have a green 5 and a yellow 1. Very cool. Yellow 1 is great. Green 5 is terrible. A lot of very specific numbers. Got it. Lol. Yeah. It's part of the game where like we're going to start not being able to place things. And if you can't place it, placing an X is totally fine. It is part of the game to hit X's. I wish it wasn't, but it is. We have a yellow 1. Can I play a yellow 1? I could not play a yellow 1. So one of the other interesting things to talk about is where to play your X is actually a really strategic choice. Because right now I have to play a yellow X. I could guard, but I could also play a yellow X or play an X on the yellow. And choosing where to do it, I think, is also strategic. So if you get yourself into a little bit of a hole, or some of these things are a little less flexible, or they just touch a lot more states, sometimes those are better places to play an X. All right. I'm going to do that. This one touches 1, 2, 3. That's an X. All right. And then I have a 5 of green, and that also is probably going to be an X or a guard. So I just need a bunch of 2s. I am going to also take an X here. Boom. I just need a valley of green 2s. That's it. Tennessee is a good choice for the X. Yeah, Tennessee is always a good choice. Okay. Oh, look at that. Ask and you shall receive. We have an orange 2 and a wild 2. Sometimes all you need to do is wish and you'll get it. Okay. This 2 is definitely going down here. Boom. And then this one, I think we do want to place that 2 right there. I think so. This one I'd love to have a 2 as well. That probably is the smarter placement for the 2. I think that's a mistake. We'll talk about that later. Okay, 2 more dice coming out. Oh, of course. Purple on top and blue on the bottom. Again, the toughest 2 colors to see tonight. So I apologize about that. Yeah, we have the reigning champion of the global game night here playing again. So this is going to be pretty exciting. See if we can get a new champion. 3 of purple and blue of 2. 2 of blue. I can place that. That's great. 2 and 3. That was such a good move. Okay, that's going to be our round 6. We're on round 7 right now. And we are going you know, keep in mind too, this is practice game, and then we're going to play for realsies next. For realsies. Also, I try to post these. I'm not super prompt, but I'll post these on YouTube afterwards. So if people can't show up exactly at 8 p.m. Central on a Thursday night, then or on a Monday night, then they can play along on YouTube, provided they follow the rules. Totally fun. I'd love to see people comment their score in the YouTube comments too. It'd be pretty cool. Green 2. I just asked for a green 2 and I got it. That is amazing. And an orange 2. How about that? I might score pretty well tonight. I'm feeling good. That is a perfect roll. I'll take it. All right, we got so purple on top, and we have yellow 5. So purple 1, yellow 5. Purple 1 is definitely an X, unless I want to potentially color change. I don't really see my my 1s doing really well. A 5. 5 might need a color change. I could see a 5 color change, like going right here maybe. 5. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'll take the color change there into red. So it should be noted, I have filled up all my purples. So every time purple comes out in the future of the game, in the future of this game, I can ignore it. And it's kind of good, kind of bad, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. You don't have to make an X, but because you're not placing numbers on the map, you are inevitably making X's later on because you haven't filled these in. All right, we have a 1 wild, and we have a 2 of blue. Yeah, ignoring bad rolls. It feels good, but I think actually it is kind of the same as placing an X, to be honest. So I think you kind of want to like fill things in at the right time. Okay, blue is always on the bottom, we said. So blue 2 and a 1 of wild. That 1 is, I can definitely place the 1. I can definitely place the blue 2 as well for now. It's going to get bad. It's going to get hairy. I could actually place the 1 right here. Nope, I couldn't. I couldn't place it there either. I couldn't place it here. I think that 1 of wild is going to be an issue for me. Do I want to guard this? That's a good question. I'm going to just take the mark. But it's a strategic mark because it's wild, so it can be really anywhere. So, like, I think this is a good mark for me. I like that mark because I still have possibilities to fill these 2 in then. Cool. Okay, dice back in the bag, and we're going to go on to the last round. All right. there's a surprising amount of like decisions that come into play for this game. It's really neat. Okay, we got purple. Purple is always on top, and blue's on the bottom. So we got purple 6 and an orange 1. So I definitely cannot use the orange 1. I'm going to take that. Ones are kind of bad for me right now. And a purple 6 I just straight ignore. Or I could color change it to something if I wanted to. Sorry, I don't have any color changes left. So I straight ignore it. I haven't used a single dupe. I think that's a potential mistake on my part. We have a red 4 and a yellow 5. So definitely going to be taking an X on yellow. The red 4 actually can be placed. That's a great roll. Great roll. Yellow is going to take an X, and I don't think it matters, but I think that potentially that wants to be a 2. This wants to be a 2 as well, so I don't think it matters for me. So I'm going to go with that one. All right, blue is on the bottom. So we have a wild 2 and a 3 of blue. Yeah. Yeah, you know, the rolls make it interesting every game, no matter what. It always makes it interesting. Can I place that 2 wild? I certainly can. I'm excited about that. Can I place that 3 of blue? No. 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 So I would put an X in there. All right. And that would be the end of the first game. So that's round 8. Now what we're going to do is if we have any blank spots on our map, immediately go ahead and mark an X on them. Okay. That's not too bad. I think I did pretty well. Then what we're going to do, once we've marked X's on our board, and keep in mind, I probably should have guarded it at some point. I should have just gotten 1 less X. But we'll talk strategy in a sec. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I had 8. I think I did. That's pretty good. So we have 11, 10, and an 8. Very good. So that's the practice game of Rolling America.